I look good. What's up, everyone? This is Patrice from My Embellished Life. Welcome or welcome back to my channel where I show all of my sewing shenanigans and whatever piques my interest at the moment. I'm just saying. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you enjoy what it is that I'm going to show you in this video. So what are we talking about today? Well, today is the day where I unveil one of my makes for my February indie pattern spotlight, and that company is Deer and Doe. I think 2 videos back I talked about Deer and Doe patterns being my February spotlight. Now, for those of you who are joining me for the first time, welcome to my shenanigans. But if you haven't had a chance to look at my previous videos, I'll just give a quick synopsis. So this year, one of my goals were to use indie pattern companies more and to dive into my indie pattern stash more as well. So in January, I showcased Eliane Matt. Loved it. And now in February, it's all about Deer and Doe. So this dress that I'm wearing, the Belladone Dress, love it. Let me just get it out of the bat, is the pattern of focus today. So without further ado, let's get in it. But first, before I go any further, Lucy or Patrice has some explaining to do over here, because this dress was meant to be a sew with me, but on the same day when I was recording, the people then decided to do some home repairs, so there were a lot of drilling and a lot of banging and pounding, and it wasn't conducive for my video. So I said, and I really wanted to sew that pattern at that time, so I had to pivot and slide. So hence it's a sew and tell. The second pattern for Deer and Doe, I'll just have to make that into my sew with me, and so I hope you guys are not mad at me for this one. So yeah, I've got that off my chest. So let me continue. Now, with this pattern, with Deer and Doe, now, I've always had some Deer and Doe patterns in my stash, but I've never sewn them before. So this was a perfect opportunity for me to go down that rabbit hole with Deer and Doe patterns. So in my introductory video for Deer and Doe, I explained all about their origins and their merging with the Closet Core family brand. So there we are at that point now. So with Deer and Doe, like I said, I've never used them before, so I had no idea of how the patterns were going to fit on me. So guess what your girl did? Your girl did a mock-up. Can you believe it? Yes. I did a mock of Who Am I? Look, I'm very serious about this fitting thing this year, so I'll talk about that a little bit further on in the video. But let me just say, I really like the Deer and Doe pattern brand. I like the style. I like how simplistic the patterns are, but yet they look so chic and classy, timeless. It fits right up my alley right about this moment. The thing about Deer and Doe, and I didn't notice that before until I started with this pattern, is that it is not as size inclusive. It be more, let me reword that. It can be more size inclusive. So let me just get the pattern and let me just explain what I'm talking about. So with the measurements, it ranges from, for the bust size, it ranges from 31.5 inches to 45 and 5/8. That's not a lot of range. And the sizes is from a 34 to 52. That's the size range that they do. So the finished garment measurements for the bust is 32 and 3/4 to 46 and 7/8. So it doesn't give you a wide range, so it could be more size inclusive. The finished garments for the waist is 25 to 39 and 1/8. So you get where I'm going with this. So it is not as size inclusive, and I really hope that that is something that they plan to work on in the future. Expand your size range. But yeah, so that is my take with the sizing for Deer and Doe patterns. Now, in terms of the fabric that I used for the Belladone dress, like I said, I'm currently wearing the finished product, but this is the fabric that I use, and it is a black and white basket weave satin fabric. And I bought this fabric a few years ago from Fabric Mart Fabrics. Love, 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 love this fabric. Now, the thing about this fabric is that you need to finish these ends with a serger. Pinking shares is not going to do any sort of justice to this fabric. Neither is doing those type of folding seaming techniques. It's not going to work. It's too bulky for those. It needs a serger. It frays. That's what I wanted to say. It frays. And let me tell you something. This fabric gave my serger a run for a money, because while finishing some edges, some of the frays got tangled up and it jammed my serger, a couple of times. But I persevered and I got everything finished. So this is the fabric that I used, and the dress has two views, view A and view B. Now, originally I wanted to do view A. View A is the one that has the cutout at the back. View B is the full covered back. So my intention was to do view A first, but because, like I've mentioned, I've never used the pattern before, I thought that doing view B would have been easier for me to get a proper assessment of how the pattern would look on my body. Okay, so I managed to do a video of the mock-up that I did, before all the home repair shenanigans occur. I got some footage of that. So I'm just gonna take you over to that video where I show the mock-up and talk a bit about the adjustments that I would want to do for the finished product. So let's go. Alright guys, so this is the first mock-up of the top portion of the Belladone dress by Deer and Doe patterns, and right away there's some areas where I can see some adjustments needs to be done, and they are in the usual places as I had already suspected. So the first thing, of course, you can see there's some gaping in the neck region in the front, and I know there will be some sort of gaping in the back as well, which there is. The second thing is that this is a sleeveless dress, and you can see that the sleeves are way over, the armhole, I should say, is way over my shoulder region. So I know that I have to fix that part. And also there are some, some little gaping in my underarms as well. So I've gone ahead and did this shoulder I've adjusted this shoulder. So when I did the measurement from the base of my neck to, you know, the point where my what you call it, the joint meets, you know, that distance is 4.5 inches. So I had to take out 1 inch. So I did that. So this shoulder is adjusted, this shoulder is not. Okay, so, and you can see that I've been able to fix some of the issues so far. I know that I have to go underneath the underarm and also make an adjustment in there. Most likely I would go in maybe 1/4 inch and taper it down into the seam allowance. So that's what I did for this shoulder, my left shoulder. In the neck portion, to the top of my neck, I plan to go in about 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, and taper it into the seam line as well to get rid of some of the spacing. As for the front, to get rid of the spacing, I'm thinking of just inserting two small darts to the front, so that would alleviate some of the gaping as well. So yes, this is some of the adjustments that I'm planning to do, but other than that, I'm loving the fit of it so far. So yeah. And we're back. Yes, so as you can see, I talked about the adjustments that I want to do, and I executed all of those adjustments, and I am so pleased. See, I told you guys that I'm all about the fitting game this year, because I got to get this handled. Now, is it 100%? No, it's not, but it's damn near close to 100%. So I am super duper pleased. So in that video, I talk about adjustments being done mostly to the neck and shoulders and arms. I didn't do any sort of shortening or lengthening or stuff like that. So in the neck, yes, I did went in 1/2 inch and taper it down into the seam allowance 2 inches down. In the underarms, I did 1/4 inch and taper it into the seam allowance. I think it was 1.5 inches down, and that helped with a lot of the gaping. I'm so pleased with it. A lot of the gaping in the neck region. Let me just remove my pearls. In the neck region, I did put 2 darts 1 inch away from the center front, and that helped with the neck gaping as well. Super pleased with it. And also I did do some adjustment up in the shoulder, because the fabric, it was beyond my shoulder joint, so I had to remove 1 inch of that, and that also helped with the fitting, with the gaping and all of that. So pleased, super duper pleased. And I'll be popping photos throughout this video. You look, couldn't tell me that I am so pleased about this dress. So yes, so those were the adjustments that I did, you know, and I have my book here because I had to write them down. I had to really write them down to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So I think those adjustments were simple enough. I'm pleased with it. One thing I would say, even though I love this pattern, I think I would give this between a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. And that is because of the difficulty of putting the pattern together. Now let me backtrack a bit. This pattern has 9 pattern pieces. I would not recommend this pattern to a beginner. I would definitely say this is an average pattern. This pattern is for a intermediate sewist, not unless you're a beginner and you want to be baptized by fire with another challenging project. But I would not recommend this pattern to a beginner. The reason being, the pattern is easy to put together if you know what you're doing or if you have some sort of experience under the belt. And that is because the illustrations doesn't 100% matches everything that the written instructions are saying. Now, Pat, what do you mean about that? Now, we are familiar about the steps, you know, in with the sewing instructions, and we know that a step can contain multiple things to do in that one step. In this pattern, and I could only speak about this pattern because this is the only pattern I've tried for the Deer and Doe brand. With this pattern, the end illustration is actually the finished step. So everything in that step that you have to do, it doesn't convey all of that. So if you're a beginner, or if you are a person that relies heavily on the illustrations, you are a visual learner. If you don't have that type of experience underneath your belt, you will get frustrated. I mean, there were times when I had to stop myself and said, what are these people talking about? Then I had to sit down and, you know, really think about some things, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what they're talking about. So I'm trying to save you, if you're a beginner, from the headache. Don't use this pattern right away. Put it down for a little bit and then pick it up after a little while. I mean, if you want to pull your hairs out, that's on you. What I'm just saying, in my opinion, this is not a pattern for beginners. Also, if you are a person that are accustomed to pattern markings, this might throw you off for a bit. I think when I cut out this pattern, like I tell you, there's 9 pattern pieces. I think I've only marked out 1 notch, and that was in the side of the skirt. There were no other notches, and of course there's the pleating mark and the mark for the bust darts and the front darts. Those are the only pattern markings that they had. Other than that, you won't see any sort of notches and what's not. The grain line and the fold line is there, yeah, those are a given. But other than that, if you're looking for the rest of the notches when you're piecing the patterns together, it's not there. So that's something to be mindful of. So because of that, all of those reasons, I would definitely not recommend it for a beginner, and that's why I would give this either a 7 or either a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. But other than that, I love this pattern, love the outcome, and all of that jazz. Now, I did try a new technique. Well, I shouldn't say it's a new technique. It's not a new technique, but it was different because the zipper placement is at the back, right? But how the zipper is placed, you know, most times, you know, you will start at the top and then it goes down from the bodice into the dress. This pattern is not like that. The zipper doesn't start until in the middle of the back, and then it goes down into the skirt portion. So the top half of the back is actually sewn together. Then you start with the zip, it goes down into the dress, and then the last few inches you stitch it together as well. And I thought that was really cool. I thought that was so cool, and I loved it. Now, the only notions for this dress is a zipper. And it threw me off for a bit because I'm like, I would have thought that this dress would have required some sort of interfacing. It doesn't. The finishes of the neck hole and the arms, they are bias binding. So if you're not someone who likes bias binding, that is something to take in consideration as well, because you might want to substitute doing facings for the neck and the armholes. The hemming technique was also different as well, because they had you cut out facings for the hem, and then you turn it up, which was pretty cool as well. I've never done any sort of hem finishing like that before. So it was interesting. It was very, very interesting. So it kept me, this pattern definitely did keep me on my toes, and I love it. Definitely love it. So what are my overall thoughts about the Belladone dress? Listen, I love this dress. I love this dress. This is definitely going to be a keeper in my, or a reoccurring pattern, definitely for my work wardrobe. Now, granted, this pattern could also be used for other occasions as well. I can see this being used for church. I can see it being used for semi-formal and formal events. So, it can be very versatile depending on the fabric that you use. A brocade fabric with this, mwah, lovely. It will be lovely. I'm just saying. I do have a bouquet. Oh my goodness. Okay, we have to go back in the stash again. Focus back. Focus back. So if we don't have this pattern, look, I highly recommend this pattern. I highly. Now, just be aware of what I said about the instructions, but look, I think I don't want to say that you could overlook it. It depends on your skill level, but still get it nonetheless. Or if you're someone who wants to explore more into the indie pattern world and you're into dresses and all of that, this pattern, I would recommend you trying this pattern. Like I said, it can be so versatile. So try it and let me know about the outcomes, your outcomes with the Belladone dress. Thank you so much for stopping by today and spending some time with me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also click that notification bell so you can be aware of all of my shenanigans over here. I hope you have a lovely day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Think lovely thoughts, keep on smiling, and always remember to make beautiful and wonderful things. All right, lovies, I'm out of here. Bye.